U.S. President Biden is set to do something that he said he would never do. Biden has given the green light to build additional sections of wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. Now, this is a major policy shift, one that puts Biden in step with his predecessor, Donald Trump. Now, this new construction will take place in Texas along the international border in Starr County. The area, together with others, has seen a surge in the number of migrants from Latin America crossing into the U.S. Construction of bigger barriers to stop migrants was one of Trump's signature policies. Now, at the start of Biden's term, he pledged that no more U.S. taxpayer dollars would be diverted to build a border wall. Today's announcement is a 180-degree turnaround. So what is the current situation now at the border? DW's Stefan Simons reports tonight from southern Texas.
Dehydrated, exhausted and scared, but still determined, they crossed the Rio Grande into the United States. Thousands upon thousands are coming, day after day, week after week, here in Eagle Pass, Texas, and everywhere else along the entire U.S. border with Mexico. After a treacherous month-long journey, these refugees are giving themselves up to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, or CBP, on the U.S. side of the river. CBP agents are being overwhelmed with processing the latest so-called surge of what they say are mostly Venezuelan migrants trying to enter the U.S. asking for asylum. In the city of El Paso, in the southwestern corner of the state of Texas, migrants have been lining up at a gate in the border wall, giving themselves up to U.S. authorities every single day and for weeks on. In May, El Paso had declared a state of emergency. Now, the city leadership says the city has reached a breaking point.
It is not sustainable. We are getting better. We're more efficient in how we handle this, but we're just handling the emergency today. There's nothing being done to stop that flow.
El Paso quickly transformed a municipal recreation center into an emergency shelter. Capacity 450-plus individuals. Press was given access to film inside shortly before migrants were placed here. Already overcrowded, though, the city is now scrambling to open yet another emergency facility. This old middle school is supposed to house another 400-plus migrants. And 9 hotels are under city contract to house even more people temporarily. Cooperating with the city, other organizations and some churches. They are equally overwhelmed these days by the sheer number of migrants needing their help.
There's a lot of need right now. The shelters, the NGOs are all full, and we're trying to do what we can.
And still, it's not enough. Even though most of the migrants that arrive in El Paso are just staying for a few days before heading to other destinations.
We're not getting people who want to stay. And that's the normalcy that we've seen through all the surges, is the vast majority, I mean, over 99% of them are not looking for El Paso to be their home.
Which creates another logistical and financial challenge for the city, busing migrants to other cities within the U.S. Chicago, Denver, New York City, and Los Angeles, to name just a few.
I plan to go to the city of Chicago and hopefully I can find work. I have a 17-year-old daughter whose dream is to become a pilot. And I have this little one, and I just want to give them the opportunity to grow up and become good U.S. citizens.
The current surge of migrants looking for a better life across the border shows no sign of slowing down. According to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, nearly 40,000 people crossed through El Paso into the U.S. in September alone.
All right, for more now, I'm joined from Washington by Stefan Simons. He filed that report. Stefan, those pictures there, they tell the story. I mean, there is a problem with migration at the border. This is a 180 by the Biden administration. The question for him, as it was for former President Trump, is more wall going to stop more migrants from coming to the U.S.?
Yeah, I'm afraid not, because as you also heard in this report, the migrants are by the thousands, really by the thousands, are just lining up on the other side of this wall, fence, however you want to call it, and then just knock on the door, literally knock on the door, hands up, and giving themselves up to U.S. authorities. And there is, of course, a lot of human tragedy going on. So U.S. border protection agents are, well, hard-pressed to just to ignore that. They can't do that. So they open the door and let them in and process them. They become, in most cases, a so-called A number, asylum, for an asylum hearing, for an appointment with a judge, which could be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks or months away. And then they go all over the United States. So the problem is not going away with more wall. Definitely not.
Well, the authorities, as you saw in your report there in El Paso, they say that they are at a breaking point. And what does that mean, and how bad could the situation get?
That means that they are totally overwhelmed in terms of resources. They have no places left anymore to put more migrants into, to take care of migrants. The NGOs are overwhelmed, churches are overwhelmed, the locals are overwhelmed. And you know what? It takes also a toll on people who live there, the regular residents, 800,000 in El Paso, for example. They're doing this not just for a week or 2 or 3, or for us to report about this, for here and there. They're doing this now for months and months and months. This is not the first surge of migrants for them. It's the 5th. The first one was last year in November, December, and numbers were overwhelming. So that is the problem. Logistical, financial problems, the resources are not there. And that creates a lot of political pressure on the White House and for the president, Mr. Biden.
And speaking of the president, what has his administration done or been doing to bring down the numbers of people that are entering the United States? I mean, beyond, talk about more wall.
Well, that's just the thing, right? You said it today. He goes, we're building more wall. His own administration is waiving 26 laws, federal laws, so it makes it possible to add a few more miles of wall at the border. He personally doesn't believe in the wall, that it makes any sense. And, well, I'm with him on that one. I think anybody who is been at the border and is working on this the problem or reporting about migrant and immigration problem here for the U.S. is agreeing with that. The problem is that there is really the immigration law in the U.S. hasn't been changed in decades fundamentally, and it just needs a different approach to migration and immigration in the United States. And I guess still the United States and politicians here have a big, maybe also the public have a big problem to come around to that thinking still.
Stefan Simons reporting tonight from Washington. Stefan, as always, thank you.